Is the sports world ready for another challenge to the worldwide leader? Looks like Rupert Murdoch's getting ready to take on ESPN.
So they're amassing a substantial amount of content that they can show nationally.
The biggest game in U.S. football kicks off on Saturday. No, not the Super Bowl. We're talking MLS Cup.
This year will reach almost 150 countries.
We'll also catch up on what's not happening with NHL hockey.
There's a lot about this process that one could scratch their head about.
And we've got a sports retail report from the opening weekend of shopping season.
This is what really got me. Sales were up 150% on Black Friday.
You can shop around, but you won't find a better sports business show. Sportfolio starts right now. Hello, I'm Rick Haro, and welcome to Sportfolio, Bloomberg's weekly inside look at the business of sports. Well, I hope you got a lot of good shopping done this weekend, and we're assuming that Rupert Murdoch took Black Friday off, since on Wednesday he put down $1.5 billion to acquire 49% of the Yes Network. The deal locks up Yankees TV rights for the next 30 years and gives News Corp the option to increase its interest to 80% 3 years from now. Joining us to talk about what this Murdoch mega deal means for the business of sports, one of the prominent deal makers and consultants in sports media, Lee Burke. Hey, Lee, what's Murdoch getting for his money?
A number of things. First of all, with the Yankees arrangement, he gets an anchor in New York. There used to be a Fox Sportsnet in New York. That was a hole that's now been filled by their investment in Yes Network. They also receive an investment in the largest and probably the most profitable regional sports network in the country. And beyond that, they have the opportunity to potentially consolidate the back office operations of Yes with their other RSNs, with their other national networks, and really increase the profitability of it by utilizing such things as their production skills, their master control, their ad sales resources to really develop and enhance the profitability of Yes going forward.
Well, and it's bigger than that probably. The ultimate goal is to go national. Reports say they may roll out a network as early as next year. And if ESPN is getting over $5 a subscriber, will cable operators be able to convince consumers to pay similar fees for a Fox channel?
If Fox has the content, and they're making strides in doing that. Over the last 18 months, they've done deals for the World Cup. They've done deals for renewing their Major League Baseball Game of the Week deal and the playoffs and the World Series. They've done deals with the Pac-12, with the Big 12. So they're amassing a substantial amount of content that they can show nationally. And that is what ultimately drives the success of the national sports network. ESPN does it basically because of the events they offer up. And with Fox pulling together those events, they should have the opportunity to do so as well.
Well, of course, ESPN planted a pretty expensive flag last week when it bid $5.5 billion for 12 years to televise the college football playoff, replace the BCS. If this is a poker game and the ante is event rights, who's going to be rich enough to stay at the table?
It's those media companies that have the dollars and the resources and the ability to commercialize sports events across a range of media platforms and screens. And you certainly mentioned ESPN being up there, Fox being up there, NBC, Comcast, Universal, CBS, and then the new media companies, YouTube, Apple, Netflix. Those are companies that together can make the investment in sports content, can slice and dice it, offer it up on a number of different screens and platforms so that fans can follow their favorites from screen to screen to screen. It's definitely rarefied air, but those companies that can do so are the ones that are really going to be bidding up the value of these rights because these rights are inherently valuable.
Well, let's talk about one of those big boutique properties, at least perceived to be. In 2 days, Stan Kasten, he can put the Dodgers TV rights on the open market. How do you see the Yes deal affecting the bidding and value in L.A.?
Well, there's some reports out there right now. They're directional, they're not definitive, but it certainly looks like whatever deal is done, the Dodgers regional television deal is going to rival what the Yankees have done as part of their renewal with Yes that now includes Fox. And as a result, I think you're going to be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 to $300 million per year on average for regional television rights for the Dodgers, certainly for the Yankees. And you take that by comparison, every team in Major League Baseball, the teams just did their new national television deal. They doubled those rights, which is spectacular. That means, though, that every team is going to be receiving approximately $50 million a year in rights fees from their national television deal. You're looking at the Yankees and potentially the Dodgers receiving perhaps 5 to 6 times that on an annual basis from their regional television deal. And so I think it points directionally to where the Dodgers are heading, either from Fox or potentially from Time Warner or another outside competitor, because of the value of regional content, of regional baseball in this marketplace.
So who needs the Dodgers deal more, Time Warner to own L.A. or Fox to launch their national network?
Well, they're both highly motivated competitors. Both Time Warner and Fox need the Dodgers. Fox needs the Dodgers to maintain 2 strong RSNs in the marketplace. Time Warner Cable needs the Dodgers to offer up a spring-summer Major League property in L.A. that goes alongside their Los Angeles Lakers deal. So both are highly motivated. You're in a competitive marketplace, one in which you have 2 very deep-pocketed media companies going after these rights, and both of them realizing that these rights can be of great value in distribution, not only on cable, but also on satellite and VOD and other screens. So whatever deal is struck, I think you're going to see the Dodgers obtaining top dollar because of the value of being able to offer those rights in a very competitive and heated marketplace.
You could probably argue that before the end of the year, the value of every Major League Baseball franchise goes up 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40%. This is a fascinating topic that's only going to get more fascinating. We'll keep an eye on these deals as they develop. Lee Burke, thanks for joining us on Sportfolio. Major League Soccer has a marquee event this weekend. There will be glitz and glamour galore as MLS Cup hits L.A., and a lot of attention on David Beckham as he plays his final game for the Galaxy. Coming up, we'll find out how the league plans to put a cap on a successful season with the Cup to remember.
With the growth of our attendance, the growth of our fan base in general, this is a move to really honor the fans.
Stay with us on Sportfolio. It's been a strong year for Major League Soccer. Record attendance, expanded television presence on NBC Sports Network. And Saturday, the league holds its championship game at the Home Depot Center in Los Angeles with the Houston Dynamo taking on the LA Galaxy for the MLS Cup. A highly marketable subplot to this matchup, David Beckham announced it'll be his last MLS game as a player, and the Galaxy would love to send him off with a 2nd consecutive championship. Joining us now, Chief Marketing Officer for Major League Soccer, Howard Handler. Hey, Howard, congratulations. In the year you decided to move the game from a neutral site, you end up with the host team in L.A. It's really hard to do better than that, don't you think?
We're really excited to host in L.A. It was a big decision for us. Many years ago, we weren't quite sure that we could sell out at such short notice. With the growth of our attendance, the growth of our fan base in general, it was no question for us. And so this is a move to really honor the fans.
Well, speaking of the fans, over 6 million of them came to MLS games this season. The average was almost 19,000 a game. You said the league, though, needs to go beyond its local success and create a nationwide identity. How are you doing that with the MLS Cup?
Well, we're at a really exciting inflection point. I mean, we have such rabid core believers in many of our communities. We just added a 19th club in Montreal, but, you know, across Canada and the U.S., we want to really be a vibrant North American brand. You know, when we look at the television landscape, we punch above our weight in our MLS markets, but we also break through in markets like Atlanta, Minneapolis, Miami, and we want to keep building on that.
You and the commissioner both worked at the NFL. Obviously, you have a great model with the Super Bowl you can emulate. Can the MLS Cup be the same kind of driver for branding and revenue for you?
Well, we're certainly building it to be that kind of a culminating event for us, a great economic engine for the local community, a great engine of activation for our sponsors. We're excited with the growth of it. We know that we're going to have another big impact on LA. You know, we do it in conjunction with our partners. AEG rolls out the red carpet for us. We've got great fans, and you know, we're going to have our soccer celebration once again. So we're excited to just have a big blowout event.
And AEG, again, fantastic job. Home Depot Center. It's a 30,000 capacity, but we've seen tickets on the secondary market selling in the range of $1,000. Is this better business for soccer than a neutral site game where you can keep more resources and sponsors and VIPs?
Well, we're going to learn over time, but we really believe that honoring the fans of the home team market is the way to go.
Ultimately, L.A. is a significant economic impact city where soccer's not lost. What are the plans, though, to make the most out of Beckham's finale without calling too much attention to the fact that he is leaving?
Well, we're going to honor David Beckham. He's had a transformational impact on our league. He's been a catalyst for many world-class players to join the league, including Thierry Henry, Robbie Keane, Juan Pablo Angel. He's helped make the LA Galaxy and MLS in general into vibrant global brands. It's hard to imagine anybody around the world that doesn't recognize David Beckham and the LA Galaxy at this stage of the game. And he's also been a catalyst for attendance, for ratings. And so we're going to do a couple of extra things. I think that the press has already gone completely crazy in anticipation, but we're just excited to have David participate in the championship game. It's going to be a fantastic match with the Dynamo.
All right, marketing superstar, complete this sentence. MLS Cup will be a marketing success if
we break through with a big rating. We're on the front page of sports sections all over the U.S. and Canada. And we start to turn on more and more fans around the world. We'll be broadcasting MLS Cup not just on ESPN and Telefutura, but also on ESPN International, and we believe that this year will reach almost 150 countries.
The world's longest sentence, but I would expect nothing less from Howard Handler. Thanks so much for joining us. We look forward to watching the MLS Cup on Saturday.
Thanks, Rick.
Up next, we look at a sport that has a major marketing problem right now, and it's hard to market NHL hockey when there's no product to market. Chris Botta of Sports Business Journal tells us what's going on behind the scenes. And some critics have said there's simply too many NHL franchises and that contraction would be a better way to solve the league's financial problems. Major League Soccer was the last pro league to contract teams, shrinking by 2 in 2002, which leads us to our Sportfolio Stumper. Before that contraction, what was the last Major League sports franchise to be disbanded for financial reasons? Answer when we return. Here's the answer to this week's Stumper. The last Major League sports franchise to cease operations for financial reasons, the NHL Cleveland Barons, who merged with the Minnesota North Stars in 1978. This note was brought to our attention by Rant Sports. On Friday, when NBC was scheduled to air the NHL Thanksgiving showdown between the Rangers and the Bruins, the network replaced the game with a 15-year-old rerun of the soap opera Days of Our Lives. I'm sure Chris Botta of Sports Business Journal appreciates how appropriate that really is. Hey, Chris, there's news this week that both parties have agreed to bring federal mediators into negotiations, but it's non-binding. Bottom line, is either side getting frustrated enough to break the impasse?
No. I do think something will happen in the next few weeks, Rick, but this mediation is just really another joke, another part of this endless soap opera where both sides are pretending to get a deal done instead of really negotiating.
Well, but the difference may be that the players are now missing checks. The league is losing revenue. Businesses in NHL cities are feeling the pinch. What's the news on layoffs, furloughs, and cutbacks around the league?
Hey, it's ugly all over the place, Rick. You know, the NHL office in Midtown Manhattan, they're down to a 4-day work week and a subsequent 20% cut. There have been layoffs with several teams. Most teams are trying to hold the line, at worst going to a 15 or 20% pay cut. But think about all the people who work in all the 30 arenas around the NHL who miss that extra paycheck or their main paycheck every time a game doesn't happen. So, you know, there's losses all over the place.
Well, of course, Don Fehr, he's done a pretty good job of keeping the players from hurting their image on social media. But recently, a player retweeted a death threat made by a fan against Commissioner Gary Bettman. Are we at the point where cracks in solidarity are really bound to show?
I think you're going to have a few. Think about it, Rick. There's between 600 and 700 players in this league. A lot harder to keep that group together than 30 owners. 30 owners, by the way, who Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner, does not allow to speak publicly on collective bargaining. So there's going to be some cracks. Listen, it was Roman Hamrlik out in the Czech Republic. He said something that was anti-union the other day. It's going to happen. The death threat, that player wound up apologizing, saying that he misunderstood it. I think we give him the benefit of the doubt there. Overall, considering how long this has gone, and that it's the second time within 8 years, Rick, it hasn't been that bad.
And the NHL ought to be a mega event network, but yet 3 of the NHL's top national TV events canceled. Thanksgiving Showdown, Winter Classic, and All-Star Weekend. What does this do to the league's marketing momentum?
It's terrible. Listen, and once again, second time within the decade, third time for a lengthy lockout in the almost 20 years that Gary's been commissioner. Everything is a wasted opportunity. Think about it, Rick. You know, last year I had the pleasure of covering the New York Rangers for the New York Times. At this time last year, I had written many profiles, puff pieces even, if I dare say, about the game, about the players. Every day that goes by, it's a missed opportunity. Sponsors are disappointed. We've seen some drop out, or at least temporarily, in the form of Kraft. Molson Canada is not happy. It's going to be tougher to sign sponsors to long-term deals when you've had your second long impasse within a decade.
And we go from puff pieces to hardcore definitive prediction. We can't let you go without asking for one. Will there be a season or not?
Yeah, I think there will be. I might be in the minority there. It's pretty dark, the opinion polls out there, but I'll say that there'll be a deal done before Christmas, if for no other reason, Rick, than that there has to be. This season, this league cannot be the only major professional sports league in our country to blow out 2 seasons, 2 full seasons within the decade. I say with all these legacies on the line, so much money on the line, they will finally get something done. Neither side will be happy, but everybody will be back to work and the fans will have their game again.
And for all the aforementioned constituencies, we certainly hope you're right. Chris Botta, Sports Business Journal, thanks for your time and insight.
Thanks, Rick.
We asked the NHL if they would be releasing statistics on merchandise sales for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. The league office declined to provide figures, and we can infer from this that fans aren't really flocking to NHL retail and online stores. The NBA, on the other hand, had a whale of a holiday weekend. Dom Chu joins us with a sports retail roundup and some forecasts on seasonal spending. That's next on Sportfolio. Get Sportfolio wherever you go on the Bloomberg TV Plus app for iPad. Next week on the program, we go behind the scenes at St. Louis University, where there's tremendous excitement around basketball. Why is a mid-major school daring to say the words national championship? We'll take you inside the business of hoops at SLU. Wednesday at 9:30 on Sportfolio. Before we go, let's check in with Bloomberg TV's master of the markets. Dom Chu has been leading our coverage of consumer sale trends to kick off the holiday season. Hey, Dom, it seems like early indications are good for the retail industry as a whole. Is sports riding that wave also?
Well, if you look at the overall picture for the National Retail Federation, this is the trade organization that represents all the retailers across America. They came out with their initial numbers for that Black Friday weekend, and they said it was $59 billion, $59 billion worth of sales here. Now, that's important because it's up 13% from the same time last year. The number I like to look at, just for my own curiosity, is what the average spend is per customer. That was up to $423 per person. That's on average what each shopper spent. That's up 6% from the same time last year. And the 2012 full season forecast from the National Retail Federation is for $586 billion worth of total season sales. That's up 4%. Now, these numbers are soft. They're survey-based, so they're not exactly hard numbers for sales, but still, it at least shows you a little bit about the overall picture. And yeah, there are some sports themes translating into those sales numbers as well. If you look at the NBA store, Rick, this is what really got me. Well, obviously, last year, we had a strike kind of shortened season there, and the holiday season was just kicking off as games were getting played again. But the NBA store, the flagship here in New York City, Rick, along with online sales, those sales were up 150%. Again, 150% here on Black Friday.
Well, unbelievable. But how about the sporting goods and apparel category?
Well, if you look at the sporting goods and apparel category, that's going to be big as well, right? Because you talk about the Foot Lockers, you talk about the Dick's Sporting Goods. There was one research note from the folks over at UBS that caught my eye. They were doing some channel checks. They looked around, they polled a lot of Foot Locker managers about what exactly the week was like here for Black Friday shopping week. The analysts at UBS said that they talked to Foot Locker managers, and they were already selling out of those retro Air Jordans. Remember those ones that I watched when I was a kid? Well, they're re-releasing them. And, again, Nike's coming out with that new Kobe Zoom 8 Air, again, for the Christmas holiday season. So shoe sales are appearing strong now, at least around the Black Friday weekend, and they've got a new shoe release coming out just in time for the Christmas holiday. So you got to watch some of those shares for Foot Lockers, for the Nikes. They may move if they do come out with some better than expected sales figures, Rick.
Well, you're on my Christmas list, and I know you got big feet. So what size do I need to order if I want to get you those old Air Jordans?
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick. Those shoes may not fit in my size stocking over here, but what I am is a gamer, and here's something interesting I want to throw out there for you. EA Sports, obviously the guys behind Madden, behind FIFA Soccer. Well, let's talk about some of their online apps for your iPhone, for your Android phone. Well, guess what? They went on sale this past weekend as well for Black Friday, and FIFA Soccer 13, right? FIFA 13 normally sells for $9.99. Well, they cut the price. EA Sports did. Electronic Arts says that it would cost only $2.99 for this particular past weekend. So everybody's getting in on the game action here. Everyone's getting in on the discount action. Even EA Sports is putting a lot of their top franchises, at least online franchises and game apps, on sale for Black Friday, Rick.
Well, I'll see what I can do. I'd love the prospect of beating you on a video game in 2013. Thanks for the info. We'll look for your reports all day long on Bloomberg TV.
Happy holidays, Rick.
That'll do it for this edition of Sportfolio. Our thanks to Lee Burke, Howard Handler of MLS, and Chris Botta of Sports Business Journal for being part of the show. For more Sportfolio video and more Bloomberg coverage of sports news, visit Bloomberg.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Rick Haro. See you next time.